I am proud to announce that starting today, our company is now Meta.
October 21st, 2021 is possibly the biggest day in Facebook's history. It's the day that Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced that the company would be rebranding and renaming itself to Meta. Along with the new name, the company would be changing its focus from its successful social media platforms to building the Metaverse. This is also the day that would mark the turning point and the beginning of the end for Facebook stock. Since the company announced its Metaverse ambitions, its stock has crashed more than 60%. This begs the question, why are investors now running for the exits and selling Meta's stock? As you'll soon see, it's no coincidence that this day started the beginning of the end for the company's once dominant stock. In this video, we'll be looking at the events that have caused Meta's business to start crumbling, and how the Metaverse has been failing and costing the company billions of dollars in the process. Things weren't always this dire for Facebook, though. In fact, up until the Meta rebranding, Facebook had been unstoppable, as the company's stock increased over tenfold in under 10 years since its IPO. This tech giant was a member of the elite group of FANG stocks, and investors could not get enough of Facebook stock. Despite many scandals, the social media juggernaut continued to grow, with dominant social media and messaging platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. The company's advertising business was also insanely profitable, as businesses were able to use Facebook's user data to create very specific and precise targeted ads to reach their target customers. This continually propelled Facebook's stock to new all-time highs for years, despite numerous scandals related to data and privacy, and general mistrust from both consumers and regulators. However, something massive happened in April of 2021 that instantly hurt the company's advertising business and main source of revenue overnight. On that day, Apple released iOS version 14.5, which contained one major change that would crush a big part of Facebook's business model. Apple's update was changing the privacy practices on iOS, so users would be opted out of data sharing by default with apps. Now people no longer needed to manually opt out of sharing data. It wouldn't be shared by default at all. Apple iOS users wouldn't have any of their data shared with Facebook and other apps unless they explicitly gave permission. Facebook would now need to ask these Apple users to share their data with Facebook. Now when an Apple user decides to download an app, one of the first things they are prompted with is a request to allow the app to access the user's device and browser data. With this one simple change, many, if not most, of these Apple users would decide not to share their data with Facebook at all. These privacy changes from Apple instantly destroyed a lot of the ad targeting capabilities Facebook's advertising buyers had relied on for years. You see, Facebook's advertising empire was built upon getting free and easy data from its users. Now, since not everyone was providing Facebook with their device data by default, companies no longer had as much information they could use to target ads towards their ideal customers, since their phone data was no longer being shared. Because of this, advertising on Facebook became less effective, and advertisers shifted advertising budgets away from Facebook, which has hurt the company in a major way. Facebook even admitted that the changes would result in a roughly $10 billion hit to its revenue in 2022, which is absolutely massive. The last 2 quarters for the company have also shown negative quarter-over-quarter revenue growth as the impacts of the privacy changes have started to really hit the company. To make matters worse, Facebook's platform has been quickly losing ground in terms of users to competitors like TikTok and Snapchat. Pew Research released a study that came out in August of 2022, which showed that the percentage of US teens that said that they used Facebook plummeted from 71% in 2014 to 2015 to just 32% in 2022. Meanwhile, 67% of US teens said that they use TikTok and 59% said that they use Snapchat. The inability to attract young people to Facebook's platform is a major concern for the company, as it's very hard to grow active users without this demographic. It also suggests that Facebook's user base may have peaked if it continues to be unable to attract the next generation of people to its platform. An internal company memo in 2021 also reportedly showed that teenage users of Facebook's app had declined by 13% since 2019 and were projected to drop 45% over just the next 2 years. If Facebook's demographics and user base continue to age without attracting the younger generation, it will spell further disaster for its advertising business. This is because if advertisers are unable to effectively reach young demographics on Facebook, they will take their ad dollars somewhere else where they can. This is even more important for Facebook since a lot of its ad buyers are e-commerce companies, and younger demographics are more likely to buy things online. According to an internal presentation that was citing internal company data, quote, most young adults perceive Facebook as a place for people in their 40s and 50s. The presentation added, quote, young adults perceive content as boring, misleading, and negative. They often have to get past irrelevant content to get to what matters. The presentation finally noted that they, quote, have a wide range of negative associations with Facebook, including privacy concerns, impact to their well-being, along with low awareness of relevant services. This issue of declining young users is also a major danger because it threatens to remove Facebook's network effects. Part of what drove Facebook's meteoric rise was that people wanted to connect with their friends who were already using Facebook's platform. But if less and less teens are actually even using Facebook in the first place, there's less people in their social circles there to attract them to join the platform themselves. In the face of losing ground to social media competitors and the major Apple privacy changes that hurt Facebook's advertising business, CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced that he was rebranding the company to Meta and focusing on building the Metaverse as the future of the business. This announcement even came with Zuckerberg himself giving us a little sneak peek of what a day in the Metaverse looks like to him. Take a look.
Hey, are you coming?
Yeah, just gotta find something to wear. All right, perfect. Oh, hey, Mark. Hey, what's going on?
Hi.
Mark. What's up, Mark? Oh, hi, Mark.
If that little video from Zuckerberg doesn't get you excited to throw on a massive pair of goggles and sign up for our new dystopian future, then I don't know what will. In all seriousness, for anyone lucky enough to still be wondering what in the world the Metaverse even means, the basic concept of the Metaverse is that it's an immersive virtual world that's facilitated by augmented and virtual reality technology. Facebook originally acquired the VR company Oculus back in 2014, which was one of the leading manufacturers of virtual reality headsets, and they have been investing heavily in research and development to improve the virtual reality tech and build the Metaverse. But building the Metaverse hasn't exactly been cheap for Meta to do. Since 2019, the company has reportedly spent $36 billion in its Metaverse division. Now, $36 billion is a lot of money. In fact, it's more than what most companies in the stock market are valued at, let alone most companies' research and development budgets. So with this much money being spent on the metaverse, you would think that Meta would have a super impressive product to show for it. But instead they came up with this. You see, Meta's first effort has been a free-to-play game called Horizon Worlds that has been very underwhelming, to say the least. The problem for the company is that despite Horizon Worlds being free-to-play, no one seems to want to play it. The game has received overwhelmingly negative reviews and widespread criticism for its uninspired and underwhelming look. And in general, people have been very quick to catch on to how much Meta is struggling with Horizon Worlds. In addition to looking soulless and like it belongs in Orwell's 1984, the graphics in Horizon Worlds honestly look like they could be at home on a PlayStation 2. It's hard to put into words just how bland and uninspired Horizon Worlds looks without seeing it for yourself, so don't take my word for it. Take a look at some of this official footage from one of Meta's YouTube channels. And yes, I said official footage. For some reason, this footage is what the company thought were some highlights that would make people want to play the game. Unfortunately for Meta, development issues, bugs, and poor performance have also plagued Horizon Worlds. Developers have had issues creating even very basic things like legs for user avatars, which you would think would be a must-have for any company hoping to create an immersive virtual world experience for humans who have, legs. Instead, any brave soul logging onto Horizon Worlds is simply a disembodied torso right now that moves around like a ghost. The metaverse has been so bad that even the company is well aware of it. Meta's VP of Metaverse reportedly wrote in an internal company memo that, quote, "Currently feedback from our creators, users, playtesters, and many of us on the team is that the aggregate weight of paper cuts, stability issues, and bugs is making it too hard for our community to experience the magic of Horizon. Simply put, for an experience to become delightful and retentive, it must first be usable and well crafted." I don't know about you, but the implication that the game is barely usable is very telling. People are so uninterested in the app that Meta has even had a hard time convincing its own employees to use the app that they are making. A later internal memo reportedly outlined a plan to hold company managers accountable for having their teams use Horizon Worlds, saying, quote, "Everyone in this organization should make it their mission to fall in love with Horizon Worlds. You can't do that without using it." You can almost smell the desperation in these memos, as the VP of Metaverse is basically begging the company's employees to actually use the software. This general lack of appeal for Horizon Worlds is reflected in the low active user base the game has. In a report from October 2022, the Wall Street Journal reported that internal documents from Meta showed most users of Horizon Worlds only stay on the platform for a month and stop using it afterwards. The report uses internal Meta documents as its reference and estimates the monthly user base at below 200,000 users. These numbers are shockingly low for a company that's as high profile as Meta, and it's a very bad sign for adoption of the metaverse. If the 200,000 monthly users figure is true, this is also a substantial drop from 300,000 monthly users, which were the last public figures Meta shared in February of 2022. This means that they are actually losing users right now. The same Wall Street Journal report found that most worlds created by players are never visited, and less than 9% have ever been visited by more than 50 people. The fact that Meta's advertising business has been crippled by privacy changes, competition, and that it's now spending billions of dollars to build a metaverse that no one seems to actually want has created a perfect storm for the company. The sudden blow to Meta's advertising business revenues, combined with the massive spending the company is investing into the metaverse, has been a perfect 1-2 punch to Meta's profitability. They are now making significantly less money on the advertising side of the business, and their metaverse business costs continue to skyrocket. Meta's stock has absolutely tanked in response to these struggles. Longtime company shareholder Altimeter Capital even wrote an open letter to Mark Zuckerberg urging him to cut 20% of the company's workforce and cut the metaverse budget in half in order to control costs from Meta's runaway spending spree. Investors are genuinely worried that the metaverse may be an expensive and unprofitable dead end for the company. To the more cynical person, it might even look like a desperate attempt to pivot the business model for a company whose core advertising business and social media platforms are slowly dying. Facebook's once successful stock started to die the day the company announced its change in direction. As a reflection of the many struggles facing the company, Meta announced on November 9th that it would be laying off over 11,000 employees, or roughly 13% of its staff. It remains to be seen if Meta and Mark Zuckerberg can right the ship and get the business back on track, but for now it's clear that the metaverse is killing Meta's stock. And it's looking more and more likely that the best days for the company and its stock are well behind it at this point. But let me know your thoughts on Meta stock and the metaverse in the comments below. And be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more finance and investing content. Thanks.